Alright, this is Budget Con Academy, and this is... Oh, that's not my pen. And this is why R6 markets crash. Question mark. That's a C. Okay, so this is why R6 market crash. So, here we go. So, what you need to understand for this is really simple. It's a classic supply and demand curve, right? I think everyone knows what supply and demand is, but here we go. So this line is your supply, and this line represents your demand, right? This line is price, and this line is quantity, right? I think that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Right. So, right, because at lower prices, the demand, more consumers are willing to like at lower prices, consumers are willing to buy more, and at higher prices, consumers are willing to buy less, right? And at lower prices, suppliers don't want to supply, and right, whatever, right? We get a supply and demand curve. Okay, so I don't know. Let's say our x-axis is the quantity of Arizonas, okay? Of Arizona, okay? It's a okay drink. And the price is in dollars, right? Because freedom dollars. So here we go. So this line where the supply and demand meet is the equilibrium price, right? That's the natural amount of that's the natural amount of quantity of items that consumers are willing to buy for the price that the market agrees on, right? Let's say for the sake of this, this is like $1 for that's the wrong color. It's $1 for like on average like 5 Arizonas sell per like minute. Let's say I don't know. All right. So let's say the government's like, no, we want to institute a price floor at $1.25, right? Well, like in real life, Arizona did it, not the government, but let's just say, right? The government's like, no, no, I don't want Arizona's selling this cheap, right? It hurts our economy. I don't know how, but maybe they want domestic, like people to buy fucking. Wait, no, it'd be people to buy more exported goods technically because Arizona's domestic, but like whatever, right? So here we go. So because of this, because the price has to be at this point, right? The equilibrium shifts up, but that means the amount of purchase shifts down to like 4, let's say, right? So instead of before where it was for at $1 it was 5 Arizonas purchased. Now it's like at 125 it's only 4 Arizonas purchased, like per minute or whatever, right? So we understand like the basic shifts that a price floor will do, right? Because like you're forcing people to buy at this price, and if that's over the equilibrium, right, you're forcing people to buy at this price. So if that's over the equilibrium, then people are going to buy less, right? I mean, that makes sense. Like if I force you to buy something that, if I force you to pay something for like milk or something, which does actually have a price ceiling, but whatever. If I force you to like pay for milk or something, but make it more expensive, you're gonna buy less because you can't afford as much, right? It makes sense. So now you ask, what does this have to do with R6, right? So now we have to put this in context of the R6 marketplace. So when our marketplace launched, um, that's not right. When the marketplace launched, your supply and demand curve was like this, right? So you already know this is S and D, this is P and Q, right? So your equilibrium price for any skin was okay. Well, okay, this is the R6 marketplace right now. Okay, this is the E price, trash skin right now. Okay, so right now the price is absolutely in the shitters, right? It's like fucking what is it? It's like a dot. It's like a fucking 20 credits or whatever for like an average, and like 2 skins maybe sell an hour or something like that. But basically, what happened when R6 came out was that the government, in this case Ubisoft, implemented a policy which was the price ceiling, sorry, the price floor was at 120 credits, right? Because remember, you couldn't sell anything for less than 120 credits. So this naturally made it so like obviously this graph isn't proportional, right? Like that, like bro's not mathing, but whatever, right? So basically, what happened was people were buying maybe one every like 6 hours or something, right? At 120. Like this is a dog shit skin, right? Like there's not a lot that were like this dog shit, Most of them sold at least like 1 or 2 per hour. But yeah, right. Also, that made it so like 120 was the base trading currency, right? Which also like if that now the base trading currency is 1, you can see how that causes problems, right? But that's beside the point. Well, I just want to explain to you just using supply and demand, right? Because this is something everyone understands. So here, so now we understand that because of the price floor, right? The price for items was like jacked up, right? Now because we went down, more are being sold, but for less, right? So remember, this is a key word: more are being sold, right? More. So now, when you can put this into the lens of expensive skins, right? Because we understand that like cheap skins like crash because, like not everyone, like no one was buying them for 120 anyways. Like that was just I bought a few because I really liked the skin and I was like, oh, that's the base amount of like currency, so I was like, oh, I'll pick it up, right? I lost a shit ton of credits like that. I lost like 400, I think, but whatever, right? So, that's not to me because I don't spend money in the game, right? But okay, right. So you're like, okay, why did my black ice go down, right? And not every black ice went down because like you still have to consider like other things, right? But like a lot of black ices went down naturally, right? So you're like, why? Like if my black ice is at let's graph the supply and demand curve. So let's say the natural equilibrium price beforehand. Wait, okay, look, let's graph the price floor, right? So the price floor was here, right? This was at 120, right? But that didn't really matter because also like not a lot of selling for like no one was selling for 120 anyways. So like this is like zero basically, effectively. But whatever. And then so like most black ices were around the range of like 200, right? And for that price, like they were selling pretty frequently, right? Like maybe like 3 or 4 every hour. Let's say 4 an hour, right? And this was the equilibrium price. This was the natural price that the economy agreed on, right? So you're like, oh, but why would this change in supply and demand shift this? Because the price ceiling getting removed didn't change anything because the price ceiling didn't change the equilibrium price in the first place. Yeah, you're right. But if a price ceiling were to be implemented, then that would absolutely fuck the economy, right? But yeah, I think you understand that, right? So you're like, why would that be, right? So you have to understand shifters and graphs, right? So, we're talking about demand shift here, right? Because the supply of guns didn't change, right? Maybe it did, but like not like noticeably, right? Because the economy destroyed itself overnight. So we're talking about the demand. So why did the demand shift? Remember, demand is down, supply is up, right? So you're asking why did demand shift, right? Because what happened was when you have a shift in the graph, right? So which means less people want to buy. There's less demand, right? There's a difference between quantity purchased or quantity demanded and demand, right? The demand went down. Maybe the quantity purchased might be the same. We don't know that yet, right? It's not, by the way. But whatever. So we want to put a line like this, right? And this is our new demand curve. Let's put that in yellow, okay? This is our new demand curve, okay? So the demand decreased, right? You're asking why, right? Why would the demand decrease? Well, we have to consider a thing called supplements, right? So think about it. When you have, like, let's say, when you're considering buying, let's say R4C black ice, right? Black ice, right? What does this cost? Like 2,400, right? And then when you say buy some like R4C, I don't know if it has one, but my favorite skins are the Gridlock skins, right? Let's say you buy R4C Gridlock, grid, right? For like what, like 120, right? Because Gridlock skins are like cheap as shit, right? If you buy a Gridlock skin, why the fuck would you buy the Black Ice, right? Because you only have one skin at the same time. So in this, so we have a thing in economics. There's called normal goods and shittier goods, right? That's not the actual term, by the way. So the normal good or the best good is the R4C Black Ice, right? We all want R4C Black Ice. We all need R4C Black Ice, right? But not everyone can afford an R4C Black Ice. So what happens is we settle for the shittier good, right? Not the actual term, right? Which is the R4C Gridlock, right? But I mean, I again like the Gridlock a lot, but whatever, right? So or it could be any R4C skin. So this is a supplement, right? Because if you once you have an R4C Gridlock, why the fuck would you buy an R4C Black Ice, right? It only makes sense. So think about it. Because the demand for R4C Gridlocks went up, right? As we established, right? Because the price ceiling collapsed. Now the demand for R4C Black Ice goes down, right? Because if this is up, right, then this has to be down because our amount of consumers didn't change, but more are going to this. So that means that the R4C Black Ice has less consumers, right? Which means your demand will go down. Big sad. which means that the price of everything actually killed itself. And that's why you don't implement economies with price ceilings on day one. And this was your lesson in economics with R6. All right. Really quickly, I wanted to add. So here we have our what do you call it? Here we have our supply and demand curve, right? So supply and demand. I don't think I made this clear. So basically, the demand for a product will go down when, right, the quantity purchased of the what do you call it? The supplement goes up, right? So if the demand of the supplement goes up, right, this doesn't change. No change, right? It's the quantity purchased, right? And then at the very last part, you see the shift in demand, right? So it goes like that, right? There's a shift in demand to your new, so this is D1 and this is D2, right? And then you have your equilibrium price, your new equilibrium price, which is like, it's lower and you have less, right? So basically this new equilibrium point right over here, where the new D2 and the supply intersect, that's the new price on the market, right? So that means less are sold and they're sold for cheaper, right? So the thing is also that you have to understand that releasing an economy with a built-in supply floor, ignore that, absolutely destroys it, right? Because think about it. So here's your supply floor, right? It's above the equilibrium price. So normally, your normal supply graph is like this, right? Here's the equilibrium price, right? And whatever. So all of this, right? I'll do that in red, actually. All of this is producer surplus, okay? Producer surplus, right? Because the producer is willing to offer at this price, right? But at the equilibrium price, they get this. So all of this, and they're willing to sell only this much, right? Like this is their, like, I guess their lowest possible like quantity and price, right? So they're willing to do this, which means that all of this is surplus, right? And for the consumer, they're willing to pay at here, and they're willing to buy over here. So all of this is surplus, right? So the problem is when you create a floor above the equilibrium price, market of that, right? The orange, the consumer surplus, is this, right? Now there's less over here, right? But now the producer surplus, right, is like this, right? So now you're wondering, why do I draw a line here? Because they only, like, this has to match up, right? Like, there's no way they would sell more, right, than the quantity demanded, right? So this is number of sold and this is number, right? There's no way they would sell more than what the market dictates for, right? So all of this blank space left over here, that's a, what's it called? That's inefficiency, right? That's deadweight loss, right? So if you start an economy with this, the economy is also running significantly less efficiently because of deadweight loss.